So coming to any comfortable seated position, whether it's crossed legs or the legs in front of you, and just sitting up nice and tall, roll the shoulders back a few times. Really understated move, just a few shoulder rolls in the morning will do wonders for your shoulders. Sitting up nice and tall, upright but not uptight, and finding softness in the jaw, softness in the eyes. Really good. You draw the back of the head back so it's just balanced perfectly on top of the head. And then just scanning your body, notice how your body feels here and now. Sunday morning yoga body. Maybe you notice an area that needs a little extra sensitivity today. And then begin to deepen the breath. So we're looking to find that coherent breath, slowing it down. Breathe slowly in. And then slowly out. As you inhale, can we really allow the breath to expand into the side ribs, really fully into the whole of the rib cage. Really good. And so from there, you can open your eyes, and with the legs crossed, the feet come under the knees. And in fact, I think both of you are like this anyway. Walk your hands forwards and just fold, beginning to stretch into the back of the hips. Relax the head. You might shake the head a little bit side to side. Really good. Deep breaths into the back of the legs. And then when you're ready, slowly coming up to seated, and you're going to change the cross of the legs. Change the legs, sit up nice and tall, interlace the hands, push the hands forwards and round your back. So it's a really rounded back, relaxing the chin down to the chest, breathing into the back of the body, letting those shoulder blades slide away from each other. Really good. And then sitting up tall, take the hands behind you, fingertips come to the floor. You're pushing into the hands, pushing the chest up and lifting the chest. So you're really creating a lovely back bend here. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing into the front of the shoulders now. Front of the shoulders move apart. And then when you're ready, coming back to a neutral position, and we'll fold forwards again, just like we did the other side, forwards over the hips. Breathe into the back of your hips, make space. Just letting the body know where we're going to go today. And then in your own time, coming up to seated. So we're going to have a seated twist. I'm not sure we've done this one before. It's not maybe strictly a yin twist, but it's really nice to feel a little into the glute and a lot into the upper back. So you'll take your right foot in and take the right foot across over the knee. If it doesn't go over the knee, that's fine. You can have it inside the leg as well. And then maybe the other foot comes back. Notice that that hip sits down on the floor, not on my heel. So not everyone's hips and knees are going to do that. Inhale, sitting up tall, and then you'll turn to this knee, give it a hug, other hands down just behind you. So I'll show you from the side. Other hands just behind me. I put the fingertips down, that's just the length of my arm. Just doesn't feel like it's quite right if I flatten the hand, but it depends on the length of your arm and your body. Jason, turn the other way towards that leg. Yeah, great. As you inhale, lengthen up through the spine. So you think, can I sit a little bit taller? Remembering we're not very warm here, so we don't want to really try to pull too much into the twist. More, we just want to maintain the length, maintain that lift up through the spine. We're going to take about another minute here. So it might start to feel a little bit tiring on the core muscles, the back muscles, maybe not, just to maintain that really upright position. Really good. You've got another 5 breaths there. Lifting the breath into the upper body so you can feel the upper back beginning to let go. And then slowly you can release, turning around, take a little counter twist to the other side, take a pause, maybe fold over the legs, and then coming back into neutral, and we're going to change sides. So bend the left knee, take the foot over, maybe bringing the other leg back. Sometimes it can be quite different side to side. Sit up tall and turn to give that top leg a hug. Hug the knee into your body, gently turning towards that side. And then inhale, lift and find length. And really, twist is probably the wrong word. This is more of a spinal stretcher, spine lengthening pose. Because the more you lengthen, then the body's just going to move into this pose on its own. Really good. Inhaling, sitting tall. Exhaling, holding this shape with the body. And to begin with, maybe the challenge is to be able to breathe as smoothly, as deeply in this twist, because it's a closed twist. We're compressing the body with the leg. Finding a way to make space for the breath. Really good. You've got another 5 here. Slow, relaxed breaths. And then when you're ready, slowly you'll turn to the other side, counter twist, maybe taking a little counter rotation and fold. And then coming back up to center. So with the legs, we're going to bring both legs over to the left side. So really you want to be sat, I mean this hip doesn't have to be on the floor, but you don't want to be right off to the side. So you might need to adjust the other leg. So they might look more like this, they might look more like this, yeah, or they might look how you have them. Do you know, you can have them, yeah, completely like that as well. So it's really wherever works for you. So we're going to take another twist now, taking this right arm and pulling the right arm around. So I'm gently pulling the arm around, I'm gently encouraging it, and then I'm giving it some top or some legging, just something to hold on to. Now with these 2 fingers, you can just gently push that shoulder back. You maybe, as you push the shoulder sort of up and back, you'll feel the shoulder blade going down behind. Does that work? Yeah. And so this is the movement that we're looking for. And then you're going to turn, take that hand outside the right knee. So we're turning towards that right side. Yes, you can let the fingers go from the shoulder down onto the leg. Really good. Really go into the twist. And then you're going to turn your head back towards me. And let the chin come down. Now, if it doesn't feel right on the shoulder, obviously you're going to release the hand. Really good. As you relax the chin down, you might feel more of a stretch through the neck. So we're going to take a few more breaths here, breathing in. Breathing out. Yeah, and you can always let the arm go. Sometimes I get pins and needles in my arm, so I just let it hang behind me. And then releasing the twist. So the legs can stay pretty much the same. And in fact, I'd say now, try and tuck the legs a little bit more under you so we can come into our rotation. If you want to put cushions here, you can. So you're turning the body. This is the first stage. Then you're walking the body forward. So you're going to start to feel a stretch down through the side of the back here. And then maybe coming down onto the elbows, eventually down onto the forehead, onto the hands or the floor. It should feel good. It should feel like a gentle release through the lower back, through the top of the hips. And now working our way down back towards those glutes. Settling in here. So we'll take, let's say, about 3 minutes here. You can feel the breath moving in and out of the body. And you can be conscious of each and every breath. Really good. So you're halfway through. If the mind wanders away from the breath, you're just going to gently encourage it back here. You're noticing the sensations in the body, how they can change, how they can move within these postures. Really good. So then slowly you'll use the hands, walk yourself back up, leaning back, release the legs in front of you, and you can either have the knees bent to fold over the legs or the legs straight to fold over the legs, whichever's most comfortable. This is really just a neutral pose to pause. And then finding your way back, and we'll come up into the other side. So both the legs come over to the right, however is comfortable. You can always sit up on cushions, on blocks. So we'll come into that twist. So the left arm is coming around behind you. You can gently help it around, give it something to hold on to. Taking the fingertips to the shoulder and encouraging it to move back and down. One may be a lot easier than the other. And then you'll go into the twist. So turn towards that left side, hand to the knee, maybe back of the hand to the knee. Yeah. And then slowly move the gaze towards this front shoulder and relax the chin down. Slow, relaxed breaths. Back shoulder moving down behind to release through the front of the chest, the front of the shoulder joint, the neck. Really good. So slowly you're going to release. Release the arms, come back to center, bringing the legs in a little bit towards each other. So as you turn, you begin turning towards the same sides we just did the twist to. So you're turning towards, you're turning away from your feet, not towards your feet. Yeah, twisting to the same side, walking the body forwards, and then maybe folding the body down closer to the floor. Depends on the back, the hips. I think, yeah, that's right, yeah. And so if it doesn't feel right, doesn't feel comfortable, then just come out and I can maybe help get you into a different variation. You're halfway through. Your body leans into the floor and you look to create space wherever is needed. Those long exhalations. Really good. So then in your own time, you can bring yourself back up to seated. Come up to seated and release the legs out in front, taking that forward bend as a counter pose. Again. And when you're ready, coming up to seated. So we're going to come into the glute. We're actually going to lie down on our back for Bananasana, banana pose. So you lie down on your back and both the upper body and the arms are coming over to the right. And then the legs are also coming over to the right. The feet need to be together. You can put cushions under the hands if it's not comfortable to lie them down, or you could have one arm alongside you, or even both arms can come alongside you as well if it's not comfortable on the shoulders. It's really important you're not feeling that pinching in the shoulder area, and also importantly you're not feeling any discomfort in the lower back. So the target area is just the side of the hip. If you're feeling it in the lower back, lessen the curve or come out of it entirely and take a supine twist. Really good. So if you're comfortable there, you might cross one ankle over the other. You can play around with which one feels right for you. And then just settling in. So it's not going to feel like a really deep stretch. Might be quite subtle on most people. Let those hips, let the whole pelvis sit down towards the floor. Really good. Just got 30 seconds to go. Maybe you deepen the curve. Maybe you stay as you are. So then when you're ready, bringing your body back into neutral, arms alongside the body, legs into the middle of the mat. You might look down and check if you've come back in a straight line. Take a couple of breaths to pause, and then when you feel ready, you'll take the arms over the head and bring the arms and the legs over to the other side. Might shift the upper body a little bit as well with the arms. Feet are together, as close together as possible. And so maybe you do very similar on this side, or maybe if you cross the ankles on the other, maybe it takes a little bit longer to cross them on this side. Really good. Yeah, remember the arm doesn't necessarily need to be over the head. If it's not comfortable, it's not worth leaving it there. Because the target area is the hip, the side of the right hip. Both hips rolling down onto the floor. Full deep breaths moving in and around your body. And you've got 1 more minute there. Really good. So slowly coming out of the pose, come out into a neutral position. Taking a pause, feel the right side, feel the left side. Staying on our back, there's two options. So the pose that I'm suggesting is handlebars. So you come like maybe from a figure four, so you can always return to this pose. Otherwise, you're closing the gap between the thighs and then reaching forwards to hold the legs. And that might be enough. If it's not, and you think, well, I feel something, but I could feel more, you lift the legs, so flex the feet, and pull from there. Okay, so option one, option two, and only pull as much as you want. You've got a couple of minutes there. For some hips, biomechanically, you're not going to feel it in the side of the hip in that pose, and you might need to take figure four stretch. So always remember, in yin, we're looking at the target area rather than the exact shape of the body. We need to modify it to suit our bodies. Really good. So you're in control of the sensation. The more you pull on the legs, obviously, the more you're going to feel. You want to be able to breathe. You don't want that deep stretch to affect how you're breathing. Otherwise, it's too strong. Really good. You have 1 more minute there. And then when you're ready, you can release those legs. Take a pause. And then we're going to come into the other side. So bring the other leg over the top. Hug those legs in towards you and then work out where you're bringing the legs. Where do you need to move the legs to feel your way into the side of the hip? Yeah, that's right, that side, Janelle. Yeah. Full breaths in. Full breaths out. We've got 1 more minute there. Use that to gauge how much sensation you're creating in the pose. You know, on different days, you're probably going to you're going to feel like you want more or less sensation. Some days the body is going to feel good being stretched. Other days it's going to feel maybe a bit more sensitive. You might hang back. So you really need to pay attention to how your body is feeling each time you come into a mat, onto the mat and into a pose. Really good. So you can release the legs, come into a neutral position, straighten the legs out, whatever feels good for you. So we're going to take some rolls for the back to bring us up to seated. Essentially, we're going to go around in a circle. So you reach forwards, you've got your legs crossed, and you just hold the ankles. The back needs to be rounded, and you rock forwards and backwards, and you go all the way around in a circle, hopefully. Hopefully you've got something soft underneath you, or a bit more of an intense sports massage. So you're rocking all the way around. It should feel quite nice. And then hopefully you end up facing the same way and you come up to seated. That's quite fun as well. So we're going to come into our long hold. Oh, sorry, no, we're not. We're coming all the way onto the floor. Don't want to forget the hip flexors. So we're going to come into the front of the body. We've done a lot on the back. So laying forehead down on the hands, and depending on your legs and your back, you may take it like this. So holding the foot, pushing the foot down, the hips down into the floor, or you might lift up and take it as a back bend as well, pushing the foot into the hand. So you could be here, you could even have the arms straight if your back is more bendy, or you can be here. So basically just feeling this through the front of that thigh, the leg you're holding, and breathing there. And while you're there, think about pushing the hips down into the floor, really pushing the hips down into the floor, breathing deeply, pulling the leg in to your body as much as you need to create as much sensation as you're comfortable with. No discomfort in the knee or the back. That's very important, otherwise back off the pose. You can release that leg down and bring the other foot up, taking hold of the foot, probably taking the same variation as you did on the other side. Push the hips down into the floor, breathe into the front of the thigh, make space. Might even breathe down into the belly as well. Really good for the digestion when we lay on the floor. Breathe down to the tummy. Releasing the foot, releasing the leg, bringing the hands a little bit, so the hands towards your shoulders, maybe a little bit in front, hands turned out. You're going to squeeze the glutes and just lift up either onto the elbows or all the way up onto the hands. Squeeze the glutes to protect the back. You can always let the hands come forwards a little bit. Nice gentle back bend. And then slowly coming down, and you'll move back. Take a little stretch back through the child's pose, rocking up onto all fours. So it's up to you. And by now, I think you all know whether you like pigeon or deer. So you're going to bring the right leg forwards, whether it's coming into pigeon pose or whether it's coming into your deer pose, whichever you prefer. Okay, wherever you can get into the back and side of that right hip area, glute, IT band area. And prop as you need to. So in pigeon, you can actually prop underneath that right hip so that not all the weight's going down into the knee. You can put something under the head as you fold down towards the floor. In either of them, yeah, come down as far as you need to, as far as you want to. We're going to take 4 minutes each side, so a fairly long time. It could be longer, but not today. So settle into the pose. Take a moment to scan through your bodies, noticing where do you feel the sensation? And if you think it's not right, then just give me a wave and we can adjust it. Your whole body is leaning down into the floor, especially in the more challenging poses, really making sure that we're not moving tension somewhere else. So because there's a strong sensation, beginning to clench the teeth, the jaw, scrunch the face, move anywhere. Maybe it's the hands, maybe you have got tight fists, so you're crunching the toes. So really looking to soften the body. There's no effort needed in any of these poses. Really good. You're just over halfway through. Your last few breaths there, probably about 5 slow breaths, 30 seconds. And slowly you can think about coming up. Release the legs, lie on your back, lie on your front. Take a pause, just let all the blood, the fluid run back through that right hip. When you feel that hip has settled, then slowly you'll come into the other side. So bringing your left leg forwards, probably doing the same thing. If it doesn't feel good on the knee, you can change. And I forgot to say on the other side, but obviously you can lay down, do figure 4 stretch as well. Adjust yourself, prop yourself so that you begin in comfort. Yes, you feel the target area, but it's not so strong that it needs all your attention. You can still breathe in that lovely, slow, relaxed way. And so we're looking to be breathing in for a count of 6 and out for a count of 6. And so in all these poses, especially in the long holds, there's plenty of time to train the breath, train your lungs. Breathe more slowly, to breathe more deeply, breathe more effectively. And so even though when we do it on the yoga mat, it's a very conscious breath, it takes effort, it takes concentration. The more you breathe better on the mat, the more you're going to change the breathing pattern, your natural automatic breathing pattern when you leave the mat. So then without having to think about it, there is literally more physical space to breathe because the tissue has been released. But also it's just more normal to breathe in that deeper way. A lot of us breathe in a very shallow way unless we train ourselves with breath work. So you have 2 more minutes there. One more minute there. And when you're ready, slowly coming out. Coming out again, any neutral position feels nice after that pose. Let the hips settle. We've got one more pose before the relaxation, and we're going to take an inner thigh opener. There's so many options. So I'd say pick one that you like. If you want something relaxing, restorative, lie on your back and maybe even lie up against the wall. So you can take butterfly pose on your back. Remember, you can prop with cushions. You could take it against the wall. Imagine my feet are on a wall, or even the legs wide. That's quite intense, but that would be another option, lying down. Otherwise, upright, we've got butterfly, feet together, knees out, or more intense frog, taking the knees out to the side. So we're going to be there for 4 minutes, maybe with the option to add an extra one for 5. Let's see how we go with time. Really good. And of course, if you pick one in, it just gets too much, that's fine, you can change. Does that feel okay when you do that on your back? Or is it just the hard under the floor? Feels okay. Ah, I see, yeah. Body is still, breath is long. All your attention pours back into yourself, noticing, acknowledging sensations, thoughts, anything that might arise in your awareness, in your consciousness, in these postures. So if you're twisting, you'll probably want to go to the other side now. Last 30 seconds there. And then slowly helping your legs back together, back to center. We're going to take a breathing exercise. You can do this lying on your back, you can do it sitting up, and with the breath hold, it's not a big breath hold, but for some people, if you have a history of anxiety or panic attacks, then holding the breath can aggravate that. So you might want to completely ignore the pause, the breath hold. Otherwise, you can always try it and see how it feels. So it's called the full yogic breath into an interrupted inhalation with little pauses. Okay, if you feel funny or it doesn't feel like you're getting enough air, then you stop. Okay, it's meant to feel good. We're not trying to force it. So I'm going to be sat upright, but you can do it lying down. It's probably easier lying down because your back is naturally in alignment. And so you'll just start with the hands on these lower ribs. Breathing into the hands. So this is what we're going to call the bottom of the lungs. Allowing the ribs to expand out to the side. And coming back in. Really good. And then moving the hands up, so hands up into the chest, maybe into the side ribs, right up here. So this is the second part, middle of the lungs. You're breathing really into the main part of the chest. And of course, the other places are going to move as well. It's not just here. Behind you, you might feel the upper back pushing down into the floor. And then finally, the top of the lungs, so up to the collarbones, right up to where the collarbones meet. And it's hard just to breathe here, so take a breath and see if you can lift it all the way up into the hands. And so this is our full yogic breath. We can expand down into the bottom of the lungs, into the side ribs, the front and the back, and all the way up into the shoulders, into the collarbones. So take a few rounds like this. And maybe that's enough. If you have a fairly long breath, so I'd say at least a count of 6, we can break it down so that we breathe into the bottom of the lungs for 2, pause, then you breathe into the middle for another 2, pause, and then you breathe into the top for another 2. Completely full of air, and then slow exhalation out through the nose or the mouth. So that's the interrupted inhalation. Into the bottom for 2. Hold. Into the middle for 2. Pause. Into the top. Pause. And then all the way out. So again, you can practice that. Obviously, the count can be less. It could be in for 1, pause for 1, or longer. You know what I mean. And then when you next exhale, just return to a normal breath. Final resting pose. Close your eyes, do nothing pose. Hopefully enjoying this calmer, quieter state you've found your way into. So take a nice deep breath. Move the body slowly, gently. Any movements that feel nice, do that. Keeping the eyes closed, eventually you're going to find your way over to one side. Just take your time. And then eventually all the way up to seated, sitting up tall, spine long, shoulders relaxed on behind. As you inhale, sweep those arms up above the head, palms touch. Exhaling, thumbs to crown, to your forehead, and all the way down to the floor. And you can open your eyes. Thank you for joining me this morning. Let's just stop it.